Yes, welcome everyone. Cannabis news with Joe Klare, July 23rd, 2018. Start of another week here at the Marijuana Times and marijuanatimes.org and here on Cannabis News. Make sure you click that video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find the show. Go subscribe to us on YouTube as well, Vimeo, Apple Podcasts, all those different places. Find all our social media and stuff as well at marijuanatimes.org as well. It's a bunch of great writers like myself. Check it all out. The Marijuana Times. Today, I'm talking about falling DEA and federal agency seizures of marijuana. Also talking about a case of jury nullification out of Georgia. And will Mexico legalize drugs to fight the cartels? That's right, not just legalize marijuana, but they legalize drugs across the board to fight what has been a losing battle so far, at least if you look in terms of the number of people killed in Mexico when it comes to the military battle with cartels, which is over 10 years long now, hundreds of thousands of people dead and missing. Maybe a different path for them to take. Talk about all that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Nature's Side, nature-side.com. Side is spelled C-I-D-E. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you're growing in. There's tons of pesticide regulations now. Be approved for what pesticide you're using. Be regulatory compliant. Don't use harmful chemicals on your grow. You can do all of this by going to nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News, and check out their organic, all-natural line of pesticides. Thank you to Nature's Side. This first story is from Jason Sander at marijuanatimes.org. DEA cannabis seizure figures suggest black market slowly fading. Apparently, totally illegal cannabis confiscations by federal agencies are steadily declining each year. Confiscations declined by 35% from 2016 to 2017. And those figures were even lower when compared to previous years. There are several theories as to why this is happening. Because of legalization, medical marijuana legalization, now 30 states, recreational legalization in 9 states, is law enforcement pulling back a little bit when it comes to cannabis, deprioritizing, at least moving it down the list of priorities when it comes to what they're doing, especially along the border and with Mexico? Or are the cartels moving away from marijuana and heavier into other things like heroin and cocaine and such? Because the profit margins with legalization are coming down in marijuana, and obviously cartels are the reason they exist is to make money. They're not going to keep selling marijuana that brings them lower returns and lower profit margins when they can just move to other stuff or do more of other stuff or whatever. There's debate about why the seizure numbers are falling. Probably a combination of several factors. The DEA, federal agencies don't care as much. They see the same thing the cartels do, that with the lower profit margins in California and places like that, when it comes to cannabis, there's really no point in staying in the business. So as the cartels move away, the DEA, the federal agencies, they move away from it. They see the legalization. They see the cartels moving to other drugs, so that causes them to move away from marijuana and not waste resources in that area. The cartels are not going to waste their resources on something that's not going to get them as much of a profit as something like cocaine or heroin. So I think it's several things that's leading to this, and overall it's a great thing. Marijuana should never have been a focus of the war on drugs in any case, and we're finally moving in that direction. This next story from marijuanamoment.net. Jury acquits marijuana patient who admitted to breaking Georgia law. That's right, you heard me. This is a nice case of jury nullification. Whenever I find these stories, especially things like jury nullification, which is something that's so important right now, and it'll become less important as legalization continues. But in states where marijuana is illegal, jury nullification is one of the few tools available to people beyond, the old saying, "Oh, you don't like the law, change the law." Well, a handful of people can't change the law, but they can do what this jury did in Georgia. Giovanni McCoy, he grew cannabis for personal use. He said he did so to treat chronic headaches he developed after being severely beaten in 2003. He was very transparent in the courtroom. He admitted to what they were accusing him of. He told them the reasons why. He was very upfront. He was very honest with the jury, and it paid off. The jury heard the case over 3 days of trial. They spent 2 hours deliberating and ultimately found McCoy not guilty on all counts. His attorney, Catherine Bernard, wrote in a Facebook post, McCoy was acquitted through a process known as jury Nullification, for those who don't know what jury nullification is, basically, even if the jury agrees that by the letter of the law, you broke the law, they can still vote you not guilty or say that you're not guilty because they don't think the law is, they don't think what you did was wrong. This was his lawyer wrote on Facebook, not guilty on all counts. After 3 days of trial and almost 2 hours of deliberation, a Lawrence County, Georgia jury acquitted Giovanni Mondre McCoy of manufacturing marijuana and possession of drug-related objects. He was in fact growing marijuana for his personal use as a home remedy for the severe headaches and other pain he suffers since being beaten and spending 2 weeks in a coma in 2003. Imagine this for a minute. This guy was severely beaten in 2003. He spent 2 weeks in a coma. He starts growing weed. He's not hurting anyone. Find me the person who's the victim of this crime, of this man growing weed to treat headaches he got after spending 2 weeks. Did I mention he spent 2 weeks in a coma? Authorities are going to come to this guy and say, no, you're treating your headaches after being severely beaten and you were in a coma for 2 weeks? Oh, boo-hoo. Let me get out my tiny violin for you. You're not allowed to grow weed, Buster Brown. Imagine being that person. Anyway, the lawyer went on, the jury appreciated his honesty throughout the case, including testimony at trial and statements to police, and recognized that a good, hardworking man living a quiet life and not bothering anyone. Sometimes I feel like I mention this too much, but I cannot stress this enough. Not infringing on the rights of another person or animal or inanimate object. In this case, not that that matters. I don't know. Kyle Yeager of Marijuana Moment goes on, jury nullification is unheard of, but McCoy's case seemed to symbolically challenge prohibitionist policies that put patients and nonviolent users in prison with a criminal record that could follow them for the rest of their lives. Of course, Georgia allows patients to use CBD extracts. Cultivating the plant is a felony that carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 1 year in prison. So if he was convicted, the judge would have had no leeway. They would have had to give him a year. But the jury did the right thing and said, yeah, he broke the law. He's very honest about it. We don't think it's a big deal. He didn't harm anybody. Not guilty. Thank you. God, why is it even in the hands of a jury? The guy, he's growing weed. I know. And there's people out there say, well, growing weed leads to addiction of the children and society. No. There's a specious argument at best. At worst, it's absolute garbage. The society is a victim crap. You can use that for anything. Society is a victim. Ban McDonald's, ban forks, ban cars, ban planes, ban every bit of technology there is. Ban pitchforks. Society is a victim. Society is a victim of everything. Society is not a victim. Society can't be a victim. People are victims. And in this case, there's no victim. Well, now there is. This Giovanni McCoy guy, he's a victim. He had to go through a trial for no reason. So there's one victim. A victim created after the fact by the government. But the jury fixed it. And that's very good news. Jury nullification. If you don't know what it is, check it out. Find videos, memes, whatever. Share them on social media. It's very important. One day it won't matter. One day marijuana will be legal, and we won't be talking about this. I'll be 60 years old, sitting here, not a care in the world, doing floating bong reviews. I'll be a bong with a little thing on it that makes it float in midair, and you don't have to touch it. It's hands-free. It just floats in midair. I'll be doing a review on it on Cannabis News, episode 6,845. It'll be fantastic. Look forward to it. This last story is from news.abs.cbn.com. Yes, I believe that is a real website. Apparently the French press, Mexico's next government to weigh legalizing drugs. Mexican President-elect Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, better known as AMLO, apparently, he's given his future Interior Minister carte blanche to explore the possibility of legalizing drugs in a bid to curb violent crime. Yes, that's right. You heard that correctly. Olga Sanchez Cordero, a former Supreme Court judge tapped to lead the Interior Ministry, drew applause when she made the comment at a university seminar on addressing brutal violence fueled by Mexico's drug cartels, the biggest suppliers to U.S. consumers of cocaine, heroin, and other narcotics. was one of her first public events since Lopez Obrador won a landslide victory in Mexico's July 1st election with a promise of sweeping change in a country fed up with crime and corruption. On the subject of decriminalizing drugs, Andres Manuel told me, and I quote, "Carte blanche, whatever is necessary to restore peace in this country, let's open up the debate," said Sanchez Cordero. Now, the future Interior Minister says she also plans to propose a bill in Congress where Lopez Obrador's coalition won a majority in both houses for a, quote, transitional justice system. So apparently, at the very least, the military assault that's been tried for the last 12 years in Mexico is going to come to an end against the drug cartels because it has not worked. It's not, in any way, shape, or form, can anybody point to anything that says the Mexican drug cartels are in worse position than they were 12 years ago? The country of Mexico certainly is, with hundreds of thousands of people dead and missing. And just violent, bloody fighting just between the cartels, between cartels and the military, cartels and the police, which of course leads to widespread corruption because the cartels buy politicians and police officers and military members and generals, and it just does not work. It includes this transitional justice system would include reduced sentences for criminals who help shed light on unsolved crimes, such as the tens of thousands of missing person cases in Mexico. Think about that for a minute. How many tens of thousands of families have no idea where their loved ones are? Truth commissions, similar to those used in post-conflict situations, special investigative commissions, and a reparations program for victims. So we'll see, how far that goes. Obviously, it's just in the idea stage, the idea of drug legalization. But, it's the first step to something like that happening is the president telling the minister in charge of it, hey, everything's on the table. We'll talk about anything at all. And as I've said many times before, the logic against the prohibition of harder drugs is the same as the logic against prohibition of marijuana. It doesn't work. It restricts supply enough to bring up profits, which will continually bring more people into the business. As profits rise, more investment will come in. It's a never-ending cycle. The more busts that are made, the more people that are knocked out of business. For every drug kingpin knocked out, there's two waiting. Because, the supply went down a little bit, the price came up a little bit, more people came in, and it just goes on and on and on. And that works the same whether you're talking about heroin or cannabis. Any illegal, anything that can be produced, it works the same way. The cycle works the same way. And obviously, like I said, what they've done in Mexico has not worked at all. So yeah, everything should be on the table, including full drug legalization. You heard me. Thanks for checking us out. Like I said, it's a new week here in Cannabis News. Make sure you keep sharing, liking, commenting on all the videos, spreading the truth about cannabis. Check us out on marijuanatimes.org. And of course, don't forget, makecannabisgreatagain.com. Get the swag. A portion of the proceeds goes to fighting for legalization of cannabis. Here in the United States, you can get this dope hat that you see me wear so much because it is so dope. Did I mention it was a dope hat? MakeCannabisGreatAgain.com. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. And we will see you next time on Cannabis News.